What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Red Tooth Gamescast. As always, I'm Neil Rivera, joined by the Ravaged Savage himself, Wesley Rivera. What's going on, Wes?
Nothing much. Just ready to get this started. We've got a lot of news, and I'm real excited to just cover all of it.
Yeah, a whole lot of news. Actually, the point of today's Gamescast is actually something very special. Wes, I gave you homework to do, and we are just now getting to it now. But we'll get into that later. We'll get into the topic of the show later, because this is the Red Tooth Gamescast. It's part of Red Tooth Games, the Red Tooth Games suite of content. If you don't already follow us, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RedToothGames, on Twitter at twitter.com or at RedToothGames on Twitter, and on YouTube as well. I wanted to make an announcement. I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping as well. For those of you that don't know, we do have a fully functioning and working website. RedToothGames.com is fully operational and working. So if you prefer reading our video, reading the reviews, checking out our video content there, that's all there for you to enjoy. Another special part about the website is that I've created a Google form, and the purpose of the Google form is for you to submit questions for this Gamescast. Now, obviously, we won't be discussing any questions because we don't have any submitted for this episode, but in the future, we would very much appreciate it if you guys went to redtoothgames.com/gamescast, submit any questions, comments, concerns, any sort of talking points, things that you want us to discuss on the show, pretty much anything you want us to cover, and it may very well find its way onto a Gamescast or a Gamescast topic. More housekeeping, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, we posted our Mario Tennis Aces review. That's on Facebook, Twitter, the whole suite, YouTube. You can enjoy that however you wish. Thank you guys to everyone who has watched it. We had over 1,200 views the last time I checked. So thank you guys to everyone who has watched it. And of course, everyone who liked it, shared it, all of those things. So we appreciate it. In terms of what's coming down the pipeline, obviously this will go live. I'm currently playing through both Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Switch and Project Octopath Traveler. Both of those games, well, one of those games is really short, so I should be able to get a review for Captain Toad up pretty soon, and then Octopath Traveler somewhere in the future down the line. But Wes, enough about me pimping my own products, because as I suggested earlier, I gave you homework, and that was to play Fortnite.
Yes, and play some Fortnite I have.
Yes. So for those of you who do not know, Wesley and I played a lot of PUBG. We do play a lot of PUBG. We're big PUBG fans. PUBG obviously had a big groundswell. It was a big movement that happened last year. It was probably arguably the most popular game in the world last year. And then a little game called Fortnite came along and ate its lunch, so to speak. And Fortnite has, in the last year, become that game that everyone's talking about. In fact, it's become more popular than Fortnite or PUBG because it's broken out into the mainstream. And we're going to get into that a little bit. I just want to give you guys a little bit of history behind this if you have been living under a rock for the last year or so. PUBG and Fortnite are both what we call Battle Royale games. It's basically 100 people drop into an island or a landmass, and you drop with nothing but the clothes on your back. You fight to scavenge different weapons, ammo, things like that, and the last man standing wins. It's pretty simple. So PUBG it originally began, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds began as a DayZ mod. DayZ being a mod for Arma 2. It was originally developed by a guy named Brendan Green, whose alias is PlayerUnknown, and he had a strong. He gravitated towards Arma 2 and DayZ because they're realistic military shooters. He has a strong affinity for the realistic, the gritty, realistic shooting, things like that, and you can definitely see that in PUBG and how PUBG plays. So he originally developed PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds as a DayZ mod. It gains a little bit of popularity. It's popular within the Arma 2 and DayZ mod community. Eventually, once DayZ kind of gets old, people stop playing DayZ. He gets hired as a consultant to work with Sony on their DayZ clone counterpart called H1Z1, and he developed a battle royale mode for that called H1Z1 King of the Kill. It's pretty successful, and then he ends up partnering with a company called Bluehole to develop and release what eventually becomes PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It launched last year in April 2017. It was an early access release. During that summer, it becomes a hit. It broke the record for most concurrent players on Steam, which was originally held by Dota 2, a record that many thought was unbreakable because of how popular Dota 2 is and how popular events like the International are. And it also, I think it also broke records for viewership on Twitch, but I don't remember. Meanwhile, a game called Fortnite released that summer as well in July 2017, but it wasn't the Fortnite that is popular today. It was Fortnite, what's now known as Save the World mode, and it was a game that was in development for about 5 to 6 years. It was originally pitched in 2011 and had been in development ever since then. It was designed as a cooperative survival shooter, heavily inspired by the likes of Minecraft, and I totally lost my train of thought. No, it was heavily inspired by Minecraft, and it was it was all about surviving against waves of zombies while you're building these forts.
Like Gears of War, like the Horde.
Right, yeah. It definitely drew, like, it was pitched right after Gears of War 3 came out, so it was like at the peak of Gears of War's popularity. Yeah. It had been in, like, it had a very troubled and turbulent development, like 5 to 6 years is a pretty long time. Among those issues was they decided to switch from the Unreal Engine 3 to the upgraded Unreal Engine 4. They made a couple of different design choices, like making it more of a cartoony style as opposed to originally what was a darker, grittier tone. And so, long story short, it releases in July 2017, and it doesn't really catch on, doesn't really find an audience. Later in September, they announce a Battle Royale mode. And not only that, but they release a free Battle Royale mode. At the time, PUBG was $39.99, I think. That's how much it retails for. So they definitely were trying to compete with PUBG, but it was also very much like a, hey, this is kind of our last shot to save this game. We're going to release this Battle Royale mode because PUBG is really popular and we think it'll work in our game. For a while, from September to December, they were both about pretty neck and neck. I mean, Fortnite Battle Royale had found some success, obviously because it was free to play, but PUBG was still holding strong. That all changed in March of this year when Drake, rapper Drake, appeared on a Twitch stream with Ninja, a Fortnite streamer. And that broke all sorts of Twitch viewership records. And I mean, as you can probably imagine, the crossover between fans of Drake and video gamers just caused Fortnite to become this global phenomenon. I mean, you see World Cup players breaking out the dances at the World Cup when they scored goals, like Fortnite dances. It's everywhere, and it's, you hear stories about teachers not being able to keep their kids off their phones because they're playing it on their phone. That's all they talk about at school. So Fortnite has definitely become a global sensation, for lack of a better term. So despite all of that, Wes, you were kind of skittish at the outset to jump into Fortnite. Like I said earlier, you and I played a lot of PUBG. I got you into PUBG when you built your computer. We've had a lot of fun with it. Yes. But despite the similarities, you kind of didn't want to jump into Fortnite right away. And why is that? Why were you hesitant to jump into Fortnite at the beginning?
I guess my biggest problem with Fortnite, upon like glancing at it, it felt like settling. You know, like this idea of like PUBG, like, you know, it's very serious. It's very, you know, like you said, like very militaristic, and it was exciting. It's new for me. And then you sort of have like the store, you know, like the store brand instead of the name brand. Like, oh, hey, here's Coca-Cola, but have you tried GT Cola?
Right.
And it's just sort of like,
right.
It on top of that, you know, I heard about like the whole build mechanic on top of that, and I'm like, that's throwing one sandwich on top of another sandwich, right there, and it's like, you know, Minecraft Battle Royale. I can't do both at the same time.
Right,
know?
right.
I don't want to. There's just it felt, for me, PUBG feels, I feel sophisticated. Might be too strong of a word.
Yeah.
But, you know, like maybe PUBG's like your HBO drama show, and then, you know, Fortnite's just your Nickelodeon.
Yikes.
I mean, yeah.
Nickelodeon had some great shows, like,
and like there's nothing wrong with, but it's just sort of like
they're different. It's different strokes for different folks.
When you go to work, everyone's talking about like, oh, did you hear what happened on Game of Thrones? And I was like, oh man, did you catch that episode of SpongeBob?
True, but also SpongeBob memes have taken over the internet. So,
and I want to say,
you know,
talking about Fortnite's success before Drake, I'm a connoisseur of memes, and the meme culture with Fortnite exploded.
Mm-hmm.
I was, as I'm primarily PUBG fan, you know, I didn't want to see Fortnite succeed where PUBG is, but so like seeing that all over the place, that's when I was like, oh well. Yeah. It was a good run.
Yeah. Well, and you actually, that's actually a really good point, and we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit. But I'm very much with you, where I felt like when Fortnite Battle Royale came out, and I think everyone in the games, everyone that followed the games industry, everyone that played games, everyone that knew about PUBG, when Fortnite released, or when Epic announced and released Fortnite Battle Royale, this seems like, oh, this is diet, you know, PUBG diet, you know, like zero calorie, you know, like it's just kind of a watered down, like, all right, like we'll just slap a Fortnite skin on PUBG and call it a day. But you make a good point about the building, and I don't know, I feel like neither of us have gotten like to that point in Fortnite where we can say like, oh yeah, I'm good at building, and like I can do this, and you know, I don't know if I agree that it's, you know, two sandwiches on top of each other, but it is definitely a weird combination of, all right, survival, you know, kill, but then also, I mean, you see people building these elaborate, ornate forts and just constant building. Like the late game and end game is just constant, just building.
I guess if it felt more realistic and not like cartoony, like, oh, hey, let me just slap these walls up in like 5 seconds, I could maybe get behind it. I could, you know, but like you just sort of like, you know, you're like, you got your draft paper and your pencil, and you're just like, all right, let me just do this in the middle of a gunfight.
Right. And so, I mean, I guess let's go ahead and jump into that, because I think that's part of why Fortnite has become has become just as more, you know, I mean, I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry guys, I'm sleep deprived. I think that's why Fortnite has become as popular as it is because it appeals to everyone. PUBG appeals to a hardcore, you know, military shooter fan base, which is a very small, adult, mature group of people, where Fortnite is going to appeal primarily to kids because it is cartoony, it is childish, but you know, it does have depth in it. You know, I mean, there is the building. You know, the shooting mechanics are a little bit simpler. You know, if you're looking for something quote unquote hardcore, Fortnite's not going to be what you want in a battle royale game. But Fortnite is fun, and I'd say one thing that Fortnite has over PUBG is that even though they both released in an early access state, PUBG obviously now is in a full release, but at the time when Fortnite Battle Royale came out, they were both early access. One thing you could say Fortnite had over PUBG is that it works every time. I boot up Fortnite and I've had maybe one issue connecting to a game, like where the servers were jacked up. And you and I both know from experience that is not the case with PUBG. Those servers are janky. The game is, I mean, even though it's in full release, the game still has its issues here and there. Now, I will say it is extremely more polished than it was when it first came out. Also, it is, I would say, graphically superior to Fortnite. Really, you can debate. I mean, it's really just realistic versus the cartoony graphics.
Yeah, once you put that into account, it's sort of the graphics comparison almost doesn't matter,
right?
Because it's not intended to be realistic. Fortnite is, it's Disney,
Yeah, I mean, and Fortnite looks good. It runs well. Like it checks all those boxes. It's not gonna. It's not going to win best visuals. It's not going to win best art style, but it is visually appealing. It's not ugly. And another thing, in addition to that, with Fortnite working, it's everywhere. And I know PUBG just came out on Xbox. PUBG also came out on mobile, but all of those are different fractured entities. Where Fortnite, if I play Fortnite on mobile, if I play Fortnite on Switch, if I play Fortnite on Xbox, if I play Fortnite on PC, I can play, not only can I carry my account with me and bring all my progress and unlocks and things like that, I can play with other people. The other night I was playing with my friend on Xbox. He was playing on his Xbox, I was playing on the Switch in my bed with a headset in. Like we talk about cross play and cross progression, and how Sony, obviously being the name that I excluded there, they don't play nice. But you hear a lot of these developers, like the people behind Psyonix, the people behind Rocket League, Minecraft, and people like that, talking about it's possible if we wanted to play PS4, Xbox, Switch. Everyone can play together if they want. It's really just a matter of flipping the switch. And I think Fortnite is the first game to come out, do it, and feature it completely across all platforms, and to do it well. I think that's a huge contributor to success, because not only is it free to play, but everyone has a phone and everyone has either a PlayStation, an Xbox, a PC, or a Switch.
When it comes to the future of like crossplay and multi-console, like it's gonna, like, we will remember that like Fortnite really did sort of pave the way, and I just got we got to take that for what it is, and it was the being at the right place, having the right game at the right time, and right. I think going forward we're gonna have more and more games, hopefully be able to just mesh platforms just as well.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, and like kind of to continue what you said is, it's not only one of the first big games to do it, but I would argue it's the first game to do it and succeed at it, because I would imagine it's very easy. And crossplay was one thing that we thought long ago that it's just not possible, and for Fortnite to come out on mobile and to not only run well on mobile, but to if I wanted to, I can get my teeth kicked in by people that are playing on their Xboxes. Like, you can do that. You can, or you can play against all mobile players. So that's cool. One thing I wanted to discuss before we moved on to the next topic of discussion is the idea of the event, or not the event, well, I guess the event pass in PUBG, which they just recently announced, or not announced, but just recently implemented into PUBG, which is a direct response to the Battle Pass in Fortnite. Battle Passes in Fortnite, and I guess to a lesser extent the event pass in PUBG, are ways to monetize. Well, I guess in the case of Fortnite, it's a way to monetize the free-to-play mode, where people buy into this $10 battle pass. You progress, you unlock upgrades and things like that. Not upgrades, but it's all cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
So you unlock a skin at the beginning, and you constantly, as long as you're using that skin, getting experience, you unlock cooler, more badass versions of that skin. And then along the way, you're unlocking more, different pickaxes, different emotes, different sprays for walls and things like that. Nothing that gives you a competitive edge, but that's one thing I think in my time playing Fortnite versus PUBG that I appreciate in Fortnite a whole lot more, is that even in defeat in Fortnite, I still feel like I'm making progress. I still feel like I'm working towards something. There's different daily challenges, different weekly challenges. So even if I die in the top 30, if I got I got a shotgun kill. That's one more shotgun kill towards my challenge, which then gives me more experience, which then unlocks, this emote that I'm working towards. Gives me more V-Bucks, which I can use to eventually buy the skin that I want or buy another battle pass. PUBG, and really I haven't played a ton. I haven't obviously bought into the event pass on PUBG, but I always felt like when I played PUBG, I always felt that it was victory or nothing. So if I died, it was like, oh well, shit, I just wasted 30 minutes of my time. What do you think about the event pass? And what do you think? I guess let's bring the next question in. What are some things that you think that PUBG and Bluehole to a lesser extent can do to make to kind of recapture the magic around PUBG, the magic that they captured last year?
So one of the big, we've talked about advantages that Fortnite has over PUBG, and we're gonna keep doing that. But another thing that Fortnite definitely has over PUBG is that they both sort of came out on early access around the same time. But in that short time, you can see that Fortnite has released a lot of extra content. And I mean, so has PUBG. I mean, PUBG has the new maps, which I mean, you can take or leave. Some people like them more than others.
How do you feel about the direction that PUBG is doing with, we're going to release different maps, and each map is its own different entity. And if you play on Erangel, you're going to get the Erangel experience, the original PUBG experience. If you land in Miramar, you're going to get the desert, the sniping, fuck that shit. But but Fortnite is this by and large the same map, but just with each season they changed little bits and pieces of it. So I'm sorry.
So part of me thinks that just having the same map but just changing it over each season could be really, it is sort of a nice change of pace. It's sort of, hey, if you go to Arndale, it's always going to look like that. It's not gonna change. You want something different, you got to go to a new map.
Yeah.
Whereas, the same, I don't know the name of the Fortnite map or
I don't know
whatever. But it's constantly changing. I remember seeing like the tilted towers and like the meteor stuff, and I wasn't even playing it, but I was still aware that like this map is changing.
Yeah.
So you might be good at Fortnite, but then all of a sudden the map changes, and that can totally change the way you play it. And so my dream, what I would like Bluehole PUBG to work on is have that exact same experience for every map they release.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. That would put them ahead. That would get, maybe not put them ahead, but it would get a lot of people will come crawling back essentially.
Yeah. And I think, and not to kind of continue beating a dead horse here, because I mean, obviously we acknowledge and we realize that Fortnite is the more popular game. Whether or not it's the better game can be debated, and that's kind of the purpose of what we're doing here. But I think Fortnite as a property, as a game, is more malleable. You can change it to fit the times. It fits more as games as a service. Whereas PUBG is kind of handcuffed by the fact that it's aiming for gritty realism. So you can't do an event like the Thanos Infinity War crossover with PUBG or Fortnite like Fortnite did, which was absolutely batshit insane. Like that's what got me into playing Fortnite in the beginning, because I was like, I mean, I get a chance to run around as Thanos and fuck shit up, like sign me up. Right. You can do these crazy, 50 versus 50, and I know PUBG's kind of doing it as well, but it's harder to, it feels more like game modes in a Halo, where it's like, oh, shoddy snipes or one hit kills and things like that, as opposed to here's this big event, here's this big tentpole, franchise in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we're just gonna cross it over just because we can, and I think that's a big advantage for Fortnite.
It really is.
So let's see. We've kind of already touched on some things that Fortnite obviously does better than PUBG, but not to completely shit on PUBG because I think you and I both love it. I think, objectively speaking, I think PUBG is the better game than Fortnite. I think it is. I think the mechanics of it are better. But once again, I guess I say objectively speaking, but that is me speaking subjectively. But what are some things, in your opinion, that PUBG does better than Fortnite?
PUBG has the better feel. PUBG has the better look. It's exciting. PUBG, I keep playing it. I mean, I have it. I'm literally looking at the PUBG Invitational right on my background right now, and it just. Remember Halo 2, that first time, really getting into online play where it was new, it was exciting, it was confusing. Why did that guy say that about my mother?
Right.
What is it kind of recaptures a lot of that for me. Like, this is something, it's brand new ish. I mean, it's been like a year now, but
right.
it still captures a bit of that magic for me. And I tend to do squads, and so I like popping up with 4 random people. And I mean, yeah, you got that in Fortnite, but I tend to mesh well with people on PUBG. Whereas, like, one of the Fortnite matches I had, everyone was talking about their homework that they had going on, and like, oh hey.
Yeah, I was doing duos because I had a challenge in Fortnite, and it was very much like a 10-year-old kid that popped over the mic. Do you have a mic? And like he was close to the mic. Oh my god. So it was it was very much like that was a more annoying social experience.
And I think it sort of puts it puts pressure on me when I'm doing Fortnite, because I sort of have to filter myself. But like these kids are clearly, like, I'm playing at 11. I'm like, you should clearly be in bed because you have school tomorrow.
Right.
And like you sort of, there's this like need, like, oh hey, I would usually say this. I'm not really gonna, I gotta watch it here. But like with PUBG, everyone's adults,
Right. We're all in here fucking shit up together. So yeah. If you guys ever get a chance, please squad up with Wesley in PUBG, because his pre-match banter with other people is unparalleled. I mean,
you have to get into their head.
Yeah.
To get their heads.
You've got to experience it. Like, seriously, it's next level shit. I want to agree with you and talk more about how exciting PUBG is, because kind of the point that I made earlier about with PUBG being all or nothing versus Fortnite, where I'm constantly kind of chipping away at these challenges. I also think that kind of works in Fortnite's disadvantage as well. A top 10 in Fortnite doesn't feel as exciting as a top 10 in PUBG. Like, when you get to, even hell, if you get to the top 20 in PUBG, it is, oh shit, like, we're getting there.
It's an achievement.
Yeah, really and kind of like what we were talking about, where it's usually when you're playing Fortnite, you're fucking around, the stakes feel lower. So, I mean, I'll be playing Fortnite and realize, oh shit, I'm in top 20, like, without even realizing it. Like, it's just, oh yeah, I'm just fucking around, like, constantly doing the grind and looking for better weapons and things like that. But PUBG is a whole lot more slower, and it's a whole lot more methodical. And as a result, when you make it to the end, I mean, I've never won.
To be there.
Yeah, a chicken dinner in PUBG, I think, is worth more than a victory royale in Fortnite. I've gotten 2 victory royales in Fortnite, and the first one was great. I loved it. I had a great experience because it was my first win in any battle royale game ever. So I was proud of myself just for that. But the second one came, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I did it. You're good for me. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like little fist pump. But I think if I ever won a chicken dinner in PUBG, I would like probably start streaking around my house, to be honest. Like, probably just like start stripping, running around the house, doing victory laps, because it's an achievement. It really is. And I
think it's one of those, like, it'll be one of those, like, if I ever get a chicken dinner, like, even if it's like 12:30 a.m., I'm gonna knock on your door with like some stogies.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, let's
chicken,
celebrate.
get
Like,
some some Wingstop. Like, hey,
right.
chicken dinner.
Let's do it, baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, it's just the competition is stiffer. It's if you're looking for a competitive game, PUBG is you're not going to get any better than that.
Hmm.
Fortnite is definitely like baby's first battle royale, where it's like this is where you go to get your feet wet. It's fun as hell, like it's fun as all get out, and it has a lot there to keep you hooked. But if you're in there for the competitive challenge, PUBG on PC is probably the best way to go. It really is. Um, let's see. So, and we kind of touched on thinking, kind of discussing about why Fortnite is the more popular game over PUBG. So let's just go ahead and really just talk about our personal preferences. So Wes, after you played Fortnite, we've kind of touched on how you were kind of skeptical at first when you played Fortnite, both alone and as part of a squad with me and Dad. Did your opinion change of it? Like, did you find yourself having fun, or do you definitely agree that okay, this is not for me?
I mean, I had fun. I had fun with you guys, of course. And I mean, like, if I squat up with people, I'll tend to, I can amuse myself enough using, voice chat. But it is a fun experience. Fortnite, it can be fun. And I do feel like I'm in the wrong. I know that I understand that this is a fun game,
But
but
you're not. I mean, that's the thing is you're right now the zeitgeist is there for Fortnite. And right now, like, yeah, you're on the outside looking in, but very much so, it was the exact same for PUBG last year. And if you weren't playing PUBG, you were not in on the coolest new game.
yeah.
But
But I think what I was afraid of, and like all my suspicions, they were pretty much true. Like, it's too cartoonish for me. If I want to do a building thing, like I'll play Minecraft. If I want that kind of, I just don't like mixing. I don't like mixing my games up, if you will.
would you ever play Save the World mode? The
I
PvE
would
version?
give it. Well, I mean, I say I would give it a try, but stop me from just playing the Gears of War Horde mode. You
Right.
know?
It's crazy because the more I play Fortnite, the more I really am excited for that game. So I guess for those of you that don't know, the Save the World mode is actually a pay for version of the game. When Fortnite released last year, it was paid early access, just like PUBG was, where it's $40. You get early access, you get all sorts of cosmetics and XP boosts and things like that for the PVE version. But Epic is planning on releasing a free-to-play version of it, or I think they're just moving it to free-to-play sometime this year. So if and when that does happen, I'm totally in. I really want to play.
I would give it a try.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the opposite direction as you. Not that I'm gonna totally abandon PUBG outright, because I definitely want that more intense experience. And the more I talk about this, the more I kind of want to play PUBG.
Like I said, I got it up in my background.
Right. No. But to be honest, I'm probably gonna go lay in bed and play Fortnite. Like, and that's really, I think what did it for me was the release on Nintendo Switch. The fact that I can play it in my bed, I can play it on my couch. I can,
And like, there's, you have your phone, and like you have like tablets and stuff. Like, you can play a mobile game, but
right. It's not the
with
same.
the Switch, it's a real mobile game.
Yeah, and I mean, I can bring my Pro controller, so I'm not using the handheld version of it. I can do the kickstand and use the Pro controller. With PUBG, I feel like I'm very much tethered to my computer. And I know it's on Xbox, and if I want an experience, PUBG on my TV, I can buy it on Xbox. But it's Fortnite, once again, has that you can play it anywhere, any way you want, and that's what does it for me. So I think I know your answer to this question, Wesley, but we'll go ahead and say it for posterity's sake. Moving forward, which game do you think you're going to play more, and why?
I will probably play more PUBG. I'm excited for. I mean, you got the invitationals going on right now. I want to see how that turns out. I'm hoping that something, that it all positive there.
Well,
But you still have, you have this brand new map that I enjoy. Some people, it's at first everyone was crazy about it, but now it's sort of like,
Yeah, it takes some getting used to.
It's real guerrilla warfare. But
Yeah.
so on top of that, this winter we're supposed to be getting a new map.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that like, hey, like in 1 year, like we're already getting 2 new maps, and so I want to see if they're gonna like, is the train slowly steaming along? Are we about to like? It should have happened a lot sooner, considering how much money has been funneling into this game.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it is finally happening, I'm excited and I want to see what happens.
Yeah, and I think PUBG kind of started. It's weird because they came out first, but I think they started further behind than Fortnite did. Because when Fortnite came out, it's still early access, but when it came out, it felt like a 1.0 release. It felt polished. It felt like, everything works. Everything worked. And PUBG had a lot of catching up to do with, I got to fix these weird graphics issues. I've got to fix, our server code. Cheating is still a huge issue in PUBG. We haven't talked about that at all, but cheating is a huge issue that they're just now starting to kind of rein in. Fortnite, I don't have those issues. So I think I'm with you. I'm excited to see now that PUBG is 1.0 release. We're starting a steady stream of release content. We're trying to establish it as an esport. And granted, Fortnite's trying to do the same thing, but I think I agree with you where I'm more interested in PUBG as an esport because it is more competitive. I think Fortnite's probably the better game to watch. Like if I were going to watch just random Joe Schmo stream on Twitch, or even like a popular Twitch streamer, I would probably prefer to watch a Fortnite stream because there's a lot more going on. But in terms of or not even that, but if I'm watching competitive, if I'm choosing a tournament, if I'm wanting to watch a competitive, high level play, I'm probably going to go to PUBG because it is a more technical, difficult game to master.
Yeah.
So as for me, I'm leaning right now to Fortnite. But the beauty of these games being games as a service is that I can go from one to another. I own PUBG on PC and I can play it whenever I want. And if they come out with a huge content drop, I'm going to be in there playing it with you. And same thing for Fortnite. Season 5 just started, and it's just been a huge movement. There's been a huge groundswell of people playing, and myself included in that. So I think as long as that's going on, I'm going to be preferably on Fortnite.
I'm going to turn the tables really quick, if you will. I'm going to do something that we haven't done on this chat. I'm going to ask you a question now.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I've been kind of thinking about it for a while since doing this whole thing, playing Fortnite and everything. Since you've given me my assignment. We see trends come and go. Some stick around, some hit hard, and then they just sort of die off. What is maybe this is a moot point, maybe it'll last forever, but what is your timetable for the end of the Battle Royale? When are people going to stop caring about it?
Battle Royale in general, or Fortnite and PUBG?
Battle Royale in general. Like this is, it's still fairly new, but do you see this just being like we're just going to have Battle Royales until our kids?
It's like you alluded to, there are fads that come and go in games. Think of the MMO. The MMO was when World of Warcraft came out and lit the world on fire. Everyone and their mom wanted to release an MMO, and no one else could compete. And then after that, it came the MOBA, and Dota and League of Legends conquered that, and you just had a string of clones off to the side. So it'll be the same with this. You're starting to see clones pop up, and a lot of the answer to that question lies in how well the Battle Royale modes in Call of Duty and Battlefield turn out this year, because both of those games have a Battle Royale modes in them. When you have a franchise as big as Call of Duty is, I know we all like to shit on Call of Duty, but it is still the highest selling game year after year, no matter what.
I respect Call of Duty still. I mean, I don't play it anymore, but I appreciate it for what it is.
Right. And I mean, you know that when, you know, obviously it depends. It really is going to depend on how it plays in terms of a battle royale setting. But you know, when you get in there and you're playing it, the controls are going to be awesome. It's going to feel super fluid. It's going to feel great. Same thing for Battlefield, really. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think it's something that it will always be, you know, like Dota and League of Legends are going to be around forever. World of Warcraft has been around for 14 years. Like it's been I mean this November will be 14 years. It came out in 2004. So you know, and people are still releasing MMOs. MMOs are still, you know, widely played, not as much as they used to be, but you know, it'll you know, things come and go. So I think right now everyone's trying to get in on it because it's the new hotness. But you know, who knows what the next fad will be after that? It may be, you know, we may go back to just, oh yeah, let's do single player story driven games, since everyone seems to be, you know, ignoring those.
I like how Bethesda pushed out this whole like, oh hey, let's do the single player. You know, they made like this whole thing, and then all of a sudden you get Fallout 76. Like a couple months after that.
Yeah, Fallout 76 and Rage 2 supposed to be multiplayer, and this new Wolfenstein game they're doing is like co-op. Like, so yeah, there was a lot of there were a lot of spicy memes.
I don't know if that campaign was successful. I don't know if that was.
There were a lot of spicy memes hitting Bethesda for that. But anyway, everybody, that's all we've got for you today. Let us know what you think, what you prefer, Fortnite versus PUBG. I like both of them. I'm not going to say I prefer one over the other, but let us know what you like best in the comments. Don't forget to like us, like this video, like our page at facebook.com/redtoothgames. Follow us on Twitter at redtoothgames. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Moving forward, please submit comments, questions, discussion points at redtoothgames.com/gamescast. And if you prefer checking out any sort of written content or catching up on any of our previous content, all of it's there on redtoothgames.com. Wesley, do you have anything to say for the nice people?
I was going to say, make sure, please get involved with us. You want to know how I get into the head of everyone before a game? Don't hesitate to ask me that. I'll answer any questions you have. Yeah, no, we appreciate, of course, we appreciate everyone that comments, that everyone that watches, everyone that listens in any way you can. You know, and I forgot to mention in all this tirade that we are on iTunes, we are on Google Play. So if you prefer listening to an audio podcast, that option is available to you. You can subscribe to us on those channels. Give us 5-star reviews, write a review, share it with your friends, anything like that, just to get the word out. We want to build a community here, and we want people not only to come together and talk about games, but to celebrate games as a medium, because video games mean a lot to both Wesley and myself, and I know they mean a lot to everyone that's watching this. So we greatly appreciate it, not only for our own benefit, but just for the benefit of games as a medium, if you guys, you know, spread the good word. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Until next time, we'll see you later.